Yo, YouTube, what's going on? How you doing? My name's Distance. I got two great people here to interview today.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our interview series. Last time we got to dive in depth with our CEO Logan, and today we get to explore one of our biggest partnerships with Baker College. So today we have Logan, our CEO, and the director of esports at Baker College, Henry. How are you guys doing?
What's up, guys? Hello.
Hello.
We're both very happy to be here.
Let's go, dude. I'm excited for this one. Listen, the way you were talking this up distanced, I am more than excited to answer all of these questions. I know Henry is too, and we're ready to get the ball rolling.
All right, awesome. So, Logan, can you tell us a little bit about how this partnership with Baker College came about?
The partnership with Baker College was a very interesting opportunity that kind of caught me out of the blue, honestly. If you remember, a lot of years ago at this point, probably 3, close to 4, maybe even 4, we picked up our first Valorant roster ever, and very shortly after picking up that roster changes led to a very fine individual who's very good at Valorant. His name is Demon Riley. We love him. He actually competed with us for a while, went on to different opportunities, and had a great time, in there. We were always in touch. And he hit me up one day out of nowhere and said, "Hey, I have great news. I just got accepted to Baker College, and I'm going to be competing, under a full ride scholarship." And we were all very, very, very excited for him, of course, here on the Aspyre side of things. I never thought he was going to hit me with the follow-up question, and that was, would you be open to an opportunity with Baker and possibly partnering or finding some sort of way that we could collaborate and work together? And a while back at this point, we had done something very similar with Marshall and Rocket League, this one on a much more professional scale. But that was how I would say Riley was our big connection, circling back and coming back to us. And man, I personally can't thank Riley enough for bringing us such a wonderful opportunity that I'm very excited to see what the future brings. It's already brought us just great vibes and great connections, and we hope it keeps going.
Awesome. Henry, can you tell us a little bit more about Baker College?
Absolutely. So Baker College is one of the big colleges throughout Michigan. We're a little more unique than most colleges are. You might be used to kind of the one main campus, one kind of central hub, kind of big, wide campus, like you might see any large school. We're a little different. We actually are located all around Michigan. We have 6 campuses. And we're kind of a medium-sized school, just about 4,000 to 5,000 students. But we're super, super big on trying to meet students where they are. We have a wide range of different kinds of students, whether they might be graduated seniors in high school who are looking to start their college career, when they're 17, 18. We have adults who might be coming back to college who either slightly got through their college degree, maybe partially had to stop halfway, maybe are going back just because they want that degree to help in their career. We have an average student age of 26 or 27. Which is super, super unique. But we do our best to try and help support the variety of different students. We have a variety of different majors that we offer, from your standard business. You've got computer science. You've got marketing. You have a lot in the medical fields. We have a lot with nursing, veterinary, rad tech, and there is even a giant list of minors and different kinds of certificates that you can pick up. We've got some really, really amazing professors. And our college was really, really excited about the opportunity to invest into esports and start to kind of build a varsity team, be able to kind of establish a great club system to really bring the community they already have built into esports and really provide our students with another opportunity to get involved and hopefully, enjoy their 4 maybe plus years at our college.
No, that's really awesome. The general age being, or the average age being like 26 to 27 is, like you said, it's very unique. I would think that most universities for undergrads especially is more like 22, 23. So that's really cool. That's really cool. How old is the esports program?
So the esports program is you could argue it's either just a semester old or a year and a half old, only
Gotcha.
because last year we were only club. So we had a few different club teams, which was kind of the first establishment of what esports was on our campus. But I was brought in this past summer. So I've been here in Michigan for almost 7 months now. And my main responsibility was to launch our varsity team. So varsity
Gotcha.
has just basically started since August. So not even a full year yet. So just depends how you want to look at it.
Okay. No, that's really cool. So building a varsity team and like the competitive side from the ground up, were there any challenges to that?
Definitely, especially with just getting something first established. There's always growing pains, right? Very, very normal. Esports, of course, is a very unique field where it really is kind of that startup mentality of it just takes so much. There's such a variety of different things. Now, fortunately, I've been in this space for several years now. So the previous institution that I came from, I already had a almost 4 years under my belt. So I was very, very confident in getting things established, from obviously recruiting in the team, building our brand, getting ourselves out there on social media, and all the little things that really kind of go into what I believe an esports program needs. But of course, as it will always be at a school that maybe generally knows about esports, it takes some education, right? Here's what esports should look like. Here's what we should be trying to work towards. How can we obviously meet the expectations of our university and my administration? And then, of course, bringing in a variety of different people. They all have their own ideas on how to be in a team, what kind of perspectives we should have as we approach practices. So, trying to make sure that we really build that strong culture, really try and, of course, teach these students, right? One of the biggest things that I love about college is the opportunity for them to grow, for them to mature.
Mm-hmm.
So, going into this, you got to understand some kids are going to come in at different stages in their life, at different understandings, maybe have never even been a part of a team before. So it takes a little bit of time to do that. And of course, there's always going to be struggles, in high pressure situations when we have such a talented roster. We're going to be competing in a lot of competitions. And depending on how we do, that can really impact the mentality of the players. So making sure that you can always manage conflict that arises, kind of work through different struggles, always trying to progress, always trying to improve. So there's definitely been a variety of challenges. There, of course, will be a variety of challenges in the years to come. But I think the university and the college has been so supportive of what we've been doing. And I think we've got a really, really amazing group of players. So it's been, I think, a really, really great start. And I'm very, very happy.
That's awesome. Kind of to piggyback off of that, I know that you have the Valorant roster, and I've seen that they've been doing pretty awesome. So if you want to boast about them, you're more than welcome to. But besides Valorant, is there a particular esport that you have like set on the horizon of the next one that you want to get into, or are you kind of keeping it to the same genre?
Yeah, we've been very, very fortunate to have such a decorated roster in their own ways, just from all the variety of experience that some of them might have in collegiate, already having maybe transferred from other universities. Of course, a lot of these guys have already been competing in the kind of tier 3, tier 2 space. So I think it just really, really helped immediately have our team make an impact. We were power ranked number 11 of all collegiate teams. We were fortunate enough to win a NECC championship this past fall. And right now in our spring season, we are in a really, really good spot to hopefully qualify for some collegiate lands, maybe be able to defend our championship, and maybe even pick up a few more. And with all that success, I, of course, would love to capitalize on that and build some additional teams. There definitely are some additional things we're looking to in Valorant. We'd love to maybe get a second team, maybe even look into a GC roster. But the other kind of main esport I would love to invest in for next fall, for our next academic year, is definitely Rocket League. It's one of my really favorite esports. It's one that I actually competed in back in the day. I think there's so many cool opportunities for Rocket League in collegiate specifically. But it's definitely, I think, the next best title to get into. I think one that we're definitely going to be soon recruiting for.
That's really awesome. I'll be really looking forward to catching hopefully Baker's name on CRL next fall. That'd be really cool.
That's the hope. That's the place we want to be.
So looking into the college a little bit more as well, I saw that you guys had an esports facility. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that, and what's your favorite part about it?
Yeah, for sure. So one of our campuses, our newest ones, is in Royal Oak. We had just built it, I think, 2 years ago. It was over $50 million. It's a beautiful building. It is very, very close to Detroit, so we're able to get kind of all of those students nearby and be able to bring them here. The facilities are amazing there, just overall for all of our different majors, for all of our different students. And one of the focal points that our college president really wanted to make sure was there was a place for esports in that build out. So they took one of the rooms on the fourth floor and made it into our esports facility. It's great. We have some of the highest end PCs that you can buy off the market right now. We obviously have a very, very strong IT department, so they're able to make sure that we have great internet speeds. It's a community space for our entire student body, so it is totally open for all students to use whatever time, whether it's between classes, whether it's, let's say, for practice, for some of our club teams or for our varsity team. And it's just, again, a really, really great thing to have, to already have that investment before even having a varsity team, since a lot of times you have the team first and then need the equipment afterwards. So obviously it just shows the dedication, the commitment that our college has in esports. I think obviously the biggest thing for me is just the variety of options, because we not only have PCs to use, we also have consoles for all of our console preferred gamers. So there's a place for everyone. Of course, there are discussions that we have for wanting to expand, maybe bring facilities to some of our other campuses to make sure we can have all of our students can use this equipment, because obviously a lot of the PCs specifically are very, very expensive. So not everyone is able to buy their own. So making sure we have something for those students who might not have the finances to afford a PC. So I think it's just a really, really cool space. We're glad to have the teams in there, be able to visibly see what esports can look like, or even maybe what it can sound like. But it's definitely a very, very cool space.
Let me jump in here real quick. Listen, we went to that boot camp. I went to that boot camp, and that facility is actually crazy, okay? I've been to, at this point, I think 5 facilities in total, one of which being St. Clair, which is also jaw-dropping. They've done some incredible things at St. Clair. Like, when walking into that building is crazy. Walking into Baker was like a shell shock, after dealing with these players that are now on the roster for Baker and Aspyre. Just like to see the opportunity that they have found themselves in. I know they know this, but they are some of the luckiest individuals in the collegiate scene and in the scene in general. But man, that facility is so unbelievably gorgeous. It's very cozy. It's not like over the top. It's perfect in the way that it is. The whole building is genuinely gorgeous.
Nah, it makes me want to visit, to be quite honest. I haven't fully been to an esports facility, but seeing the pictures online, that was really, really cool. Logan, can you tell us how Aspyre fits in?
Yeah, the way that Baker and Aspyre kind of fit together and the way that we've made this collaboration work, it kind of works on a few different levels. And that is, we've had experience at Aspyre in the esports scene now for 4 years. And there's a lot of small things on the back end that I know that Henry and the other individuals at Baker may run into, and there's an opportunity for us to communicate with each other on a day-to-day basis and kind of, share some sort of insight and kind of help out. Although Henry is a very knowledgeable individual, and I'm sure he can work through those things. Maybe we're able to provide some sort of insight on those situations, and vice versa. Henry's working on a very professional level in the collegiate scene, and, he is more than able to provide myself and any other leadership at Aspyre with some sort of knowledge and recommendations in the future. So communication being one thing, able to bounce ideas off of each other is always great on the back end, although that doesn't really appear on paper, for our partnership. It's just really helpful for both parties, I would imagine. The other way that we are able to collaborate right now, our partnership extends to the Valorant roster. But as you heard Henry mention a little bit ago, they're looking at a Rocket League team, they're looking at a couple other teams. So there's ways that we can connect them with up and coming individuals that might be at that level where they're ready to jump into the collegiate scene or whatever it may be. We've also spoken very heavily of, on the other end of the spectrum, like LAN events. Competing in person has been something that we've always wanted to do here at Aspyre. I still to this day get DMs on Twitter and other social media platforms from, free agent rosters that are looking for opportunities to compete on LAN, and we would love to sponsor those teams. It's never really out of the picture. It always is just timing. Is it good for the organization? Is it good for, financial decisions at the time or whatever it may be? But it's really unique here with this connection because this is a roster that maybe not in completion, meaning all 5 players, but there are parts of the roster that we've already been to LAN with. We have faith in these players. Henry and I have the utmost faith for these Valorant competitors. These guys have been with us for years, and they wouldn't have been with us that long if we didn't have that sort of faith in them. You know what I mean? These guys are absolutely amazing. We genuinely believe that they are at the top of their game, and, the sky is the limit for them. Going to LAN is something that Henry and I plan on working out on the back end, whether it be a collegiate event or an event for the T3, T2 scene, one day T1, that we can it is more manageable and more possible to achieve having working together. There's no secret that going to these LAN events are an expensive purchase, with travel and, boarding and the team pass and all the other little stuff that people don't really recognize, food and stuff like that on the back end, and the vehicle to get from the, hotel or Airbnb to the event and little things like that. So there are ways that, we've been to these events. And as we go to more events with Baker, there are ways that we can share some sort of insight. And obviously, there's a financial split that we're not going to get very, very big into here. But, there are ways that we can help each other out, both physically, intellectually, from experiences, and just through communication. The Baker partnership is very unique. There are tons of partnerships where it lists out XYZ on some sort of contract, and this is what we are to achieve and everything. But realistically, this feels like a very wholesome and understanding and comfortable contract for both parties where, we can really just do our best in all aspects to grow together.
Nice. Henry, for the esports program, or for the competitive side at least, do you have to be majoring in esports management at all to be competing, or is it open to really anyone?
Not at all. Not even a requirement for any kind of skill level or experience. I think the biggest thing for us, and I'll be looking for any kind of player, is just commitment, right? Are you willing to put in the hard work? Are you willing to dedicate the time that it takes to be the best? And even if we don't win, as long as we are working hard, that's what I value, right? I'm one of the most competitive people that I know. I would love our teams to win as much as possible, to win, every championship. But obviously that not only takes time, but it also takes a lot of hard work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I really prioritize. That's what I really try and tell all of my players. No matter if we lose every single game, as long as everyone shows up, as long as everyone enjoys what they do and wants to be here, there's no reason to leave. Of course, we have all the options for students to get involved in, whether they want to pursue any kind of degree, whether it be maybe a business degree or something computer science, maybe even is the esports management degree that we have. There's no requirements for what that means for our team. And of course, again, not even a skill level. There's a place for all students here, whether it is on, our top varsity team, maybe in some of our JV teams, or even in our club. So we just kind of want to welcome the student that wants to be here, wants to be part of the culture that we're building, and sees that vision for the long term.
On that note too, would you be able to tell us how many club teams there are right now?
Yeah, so right now we just have one kind of initial club team, just based off of the initial interest we've had.
Okay.
Justin obviously announcing what this looks like, trying to invite our students in. So they're competing in Overwatch 2. And actually doing very, very good. A lot of them are new to competing, new to competitive. But I think they all just really enjoy the time that they spend, practicing. It's a very, very chill environment. And they're all, I think, really great people in their own right. And it is very, very cool to see how that team has been able to grow just over one semester of, kind of their first season.
So I know we talked a bit about the programs that were available, undergrad, grad. Can you expand a little bit more on maybe some types of scholarships that are available, and maybe some key important dates potentially for anyone interested in Baker College, maybe going into the fall semester?
Definitely. So we are very, very fortunate for the types of scholarships that we're able to offer. And there's also a variety of different benefits. We have a whole budget that we have, whether that be for traveling, different kinds of opportunities, obviously making sure our teams have great apparel, and then maybe even supporting different kinds of needs, whether it might be equipment here and there, peripheral wise, or even types of things in game that we might need depending on, what kind of things happen. Of course, the biggest one is we want to make sure college is affordable. Fortunately, Baker is already pretty inexpensive compared to most colleges, but some of the scholarships that university has dedicated to esports can be all the way up to a full ride. Covering all of tuition, covering all of housing, and any kind of additional fees, with even some additional funds for covering books and supplies. So it really, really allows us to, support our students, make sure they have as little kind of concerns for, whether that be loans or just kind of the financial burden that colleges can be. But of course, as we can go all the way up to a full ride, there's a lot in between, for maybe some of our, players who might not have the desire or, the skill level to be, national contenders, right? Not everyone has that kind of drive, and that's okay. So whether that be, in our JV team, in our club team, there are scholarships there for those students. Of course, again, of all varying different levels. And then a wide variety of other scholarships, whether it be academic, whether it be state-based, depending on where they might be located. So there's a lot of ways to really make sure that the students who come to our college will not have to be paying a lot of money and will not have to be very much concerned about that burden, once they graduate in the future.
It's really wonderful to hear how like student centric Baker is. I know a lot of there are a lot of universities out there that are, but it really sounds like Baker really puts the emphasis on students and making sure that their entire like college experience is something that they would love to look back on. That's really like awesome to hear.
Yeah, that's kind of one of our main pillars. It's what we call our student first philosophy,
Hmm.
right? Because we have that wide range of different kinds of students, we want to make sure that we understand, what a 27-year-old might need, when they have kids trying to come back to college. It's not the same as a 19-year-old who just graduated high school and maybe has, gone through their first year. So flexibility is huge for us, really trying to understand what our professors can do to support our students. And I think that kind of philosophy in how we want to support, our players, right, is just as important. And I think a lot of those shared values is what Logan and I talked a lot about, as we were kind of initially discussing the partnership. I think it just made so much sense, right? We really want to see these players succeed. We really want to invest into them. We really want them to win for us, right? Whether that be in collegiate, whether that be in tier 3 or tier 2. I think we both want to see this team in challengers one day. We've already gotten so close, in only a very, very short amount of time. So we're both excited just to see how we can help continue supporting these players, continuing to support their growth, and then hopefully being able to cheer them on in a variety of different ways.
I, for one, am very looking forward to catching hopefully a live stream like broadcast of one of the competitions going forward. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye out for that. And then also, everyone watching, the socials for both Aspyre and Baker will be in the description below. So feel free to go check out their Twitter, check out their website, and all that wonderful stuff. That's all the questions I had. Is there anything either of you would like to add or plug in?
Yeah, just really quick. Obviously, Rogue. Shout out Rogue. It's like a mandatory at this point in my own brain. Rogue has been huge. The players love Rogue. Definitely go check out Rogue. Definitely go check out Baker. Of course, check out Aspyre and everything that you can do. But the big thing here is Aspyre. Henry, we appreciate your time more than you will ever be able to imagine. I know you're a very busy individual. You know, my biggest thing, for the future and everything that there is to come is, we couldn't be more excited here on the Aspyre side of things, and we hope that everybody following along or, following this journey or whatever you want to call it, is just as entertained as we are in making everything happen. This has been such an enjoyable start to what is going to continue flourishing into such a beautiful opportunity for Aspyre, and I hope it is a great opportunity for Baker as much as it is us. We are just very excited for everything. It starts with where we're at, and just like our roster, the sky is the limit for this partnership as well. There's not a cap on what we can achieve together.
Absolutely. And we echo all the same sentiments here. So I definitely appreciate the time, appreciate the opportunity with you guys. And again, am just as excited to see what more we can do as the months lead on.
Okay, well, thank you both for your time. Again, Henry, it was nice to meet you. It was wonderful talking to you. Logan, thank you again for setting everything up. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what everything Baker and Aspyre can do together and looking forward to seeing all the wonderful things happening.